Good evening and welcome to Talk of the Neighborhoods. I'm Joe Heisler, your host, coming to you from the BNN Live Studios, Eggleston Square, Jamaica Plain, where tonight on the Boston Neighborhood Network, we'll kick our election 2010 coverage into high gear. Tonight, two candidates from different districts running for House seats, two of several that will be on the stump this spring, this summer, this fall. There's 4 open house seats in Boston. They're drawing a very large and lively crowd of candidates. Tonight you'll meet 2 of them. First up from South Boston, Michael McGee joins us. He announced even before the incumbent announced that he was not running, and we'll find out what motivated him. Then later on, we'll talk with Pamela Julian, who's a Brookline activist, looking at running for the 10th Suffolk seat. That seat opened up when the incumbent decided to run for the Senate. All that and more tonight on Talk of the Neighborhood. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back with Talk of the Neighborhoods. I'm Joe Heisler, your host tonight. As I said earlier, we're kicking our 2010 election coverage into high gear, this being a particularly important election year. Plenty of candidates and both parties being represented. And tonight you'll meet a couple of candidates running for House or mulling running for House seats. In particular, in Boston, there's 4 House seats we're watching very closely in South Boston, where Michael McGee is one of 6 candidates running. Then there's also open seats in Dorchester, in Mattapan, and in West Roxbury. And you'll meet Pam Julian later, who's looking at running for that seat. First up, a young man who I mentioned earlier threw his hat into the ring back in November, well before the incumbent Brian Wallace announced that he would not be running for the Fourth Suffolk House seat. Includes all of South Boston and parts of Dorchester. And I want you to meet a man. He's an attorney by profession from South Boston, Michael McGee. Nice to have you here, Michael.
Thank you for having me on the show,
Thanks so much for joining us. Well, fair to say you announced way back when, shortly after the city election, so clear you were running no matter what. But did you have any inkling then that in fact this might be an open seat, that Brian Wallace was not going to run?
Not the least bit. In fact, as time went on, I was pretty sure that Brian was going to run again. Yeah.
It turned out, again, he announced, well, I won't say belatedly last month that he decided to close it out. But tell us a little bit about yourself, people that don't know anything about Michael McGee, and what made you decide to get into the race.
Sure. I'm a Boston College High School graduate, and I went to Trinity College in Hartford, and I worked my way through night school at New England School of Law. And I ran in this race because Beacon Hill is broken, and we have a ton of waste and abuse up there. And I feel that we need a leader up there that will help deliver services to the neighborhood and get our arms wrapped around that waste and abuse. And I had a lot of support from folks that I worked with in the community and various groups, and that support was part of the reason why I got into this race back in November.
Well, what was it that you talked about waste and abuse? What was it that kind of crystallized that in your mind? I mean, a lot of people would say, "What do you mean? It's right in front of your face." But was there some particular incident or event that kind of brought that into focus for you?
Well, I think it's a series. It was a series of issues in the state, and to be quite honest, I feel like the issue seems to be framed as what can we do to cut services to the community so that we can close the budget gap. And I think the focus should be on what can we do to cut the abuses up in Beacon Hill and work on getting public trust so that we can deliver those services to the neighborhood, not cut them.
Any particular in mind? Do you have a laundry list of?
Sure. Well, as a state representative, I will support a bill that will substantially cut or just eliminate per diems. I think it's unjust and unfair that hardworking folks from the district, from all across Massachusetts, pay to travel and to work every day, and our legislators are using tax dollars to pay themselves. I think that's just a fairness issue, and it's costing taxpayers.
Well, and of course, some would say, and I'm playing a little devil's advocate here, it's, Michael, you're right across the Broadway Bridge, but what about Joe Schmo from out in Great Barrington or North Adams or what have you?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of folks from a lot of those districts that travel into Boston every day, and we have public transportation and other ways of traveling, and folks are doing that now. I don't care if you're from Situate or South Boston. People are coming into the city to work, and they're paying for it. Why should tax dollars be used to pay for a legislator to come in every day?
And how's that message resonating in the district as you're campaigning? What are you hearing as you're out there on the hustings?
It's really an excellent opportunity to get out and talk with people and listen to them. And I really enjoy knocking doors. It's something I've liked to do even before this. I've been involved in other political campaigns. And when I am going to folks and meeting families, whether it be at community meetings or on their doorsteps, this message is resonating with them. It's what people want. I mean, they hear there's $4 billion in a budget gap, and then they hear about a legislator taking the statutory pay raise, or they hear about their legislator not accepting, taking 5 furlough days if the speaker's asking them to, or they're hearing that they're taking per diems and they could take the tea in. And it's resonating with people that there's someone with a fresh voice and a fresh perspective that wants to get up there and deliver services to the community, which is what is most important.